ultimately, what do we do about Jan Brewer? I mean, already 2 people have died because of her Medicare cuts, deciding that Medicare was no longer going to, without any notice, was no longer going to cover transplants. Oh, you thought you were covered? You thought you were insured? Sorry, tough luck. And now they want to tax fat people, basically. Arizona's proposing a $50 Medicaid tax for people who are obese. So, what do we do about this? Actually, this is not one of those. I don't think this is one of those black and white issues. There are multiple dimensions to it, and so to explore those, my erudite and thoughtful friend Seton Motley with lessgovernment.org on the line with us. Hey, Seton.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I am great, but I'll get better. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, Arizona's legislature said it's illegal to ban fast food places from giving away toys to promote little kids eating food that makes them obese. But now they want to hit obese people with a $50 tax. I don't get it.
Yeah, of course you don't. It makes sense, which means you can't get it.
Come on, Seton. We really don't need ad hominems. I am not going to attack you as a person.
Tom, you know I'm playing, Tom. This is first of all, this is a factor of he who pays the piper calls the tune, and these people are getting free medicine. So if they're applying rational, common sense, private sector approaches to things. If you're a bad driver, you pay more for car insurance than if you're a good driver. If you're perpetually sick, if you're overweight, you pay more in private health insurance than you do.
Well, what happened to the old theory that was so fashionable during the tobacco debates about whether or not tobacco killed people? That, if tobacco does kill people, it causes them to die younger, which means that it costs us less in health insurance and other, life-sustaining expenses. I mean, it's if obesity is increased risk of mortality, shouldn't the state be giving obese people extra money because they're going to kick off faster?
But that was a specious argument because before they die, they cost a lot more because of the.
Well, pretty much everybody does.
Well, no, but I mean, overweight people cost more throughout their lives because of the health attending health problems that go along with being overweight, right. High blood pressure, diabetes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I acknowledge those things. Here's my take on it, and let's look at the contrast here between us. You're saying he who pays the piper gets to play the tune. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, in other words, hierarchy, kingdom, whoever's in charge, whoever has the money, that's the person who makes the rules. What I'm saying is that if you look at the countries all around the world that have national health care systems, which is 33 of the 34 OECD nations, in other words, all of the fully developed countries in the world, except us, that in those countries,
and they're all retreating. England is retreating.
In those countries, they have aggressive programs because everybody is in this together, in the healthcare program together, and everybody is paying taxes into it together. They have aggressive programs to combat things like smoking and obesity, and I mean, in some cases, it takes some time. Denmark and Norway didn't pick up the smoking thing till about 10 years ago. The obesity thing. Now, you say they're retreating in the UK. You're right. And there is some retreat from that. And at the same time, obesity is on the rise. They've been, ever since Thatcher, the UK has been the outlier among all the European nations.
They're retreating from centralized, top-down, nice health care. They're going to.
But that's what you're advocating. You're saying whoever is at the top gets to like Reagan, trickle down on everybody else with the tune that they're playing. They get to create a nation of peons.
The solution is to go get your own health insurance, and then you won't have to deal with this. The government.
But you said this is the same as private corporations. So a private corporation is going to say the same thing. Hey, you're fat. You're going to pay more.
Right, but the difference is it's a private relationship, and therefore you can't critique it than when the government's doing it. I don't want the government doing it because I don't want the government in the healthcare business. We've already long established that. So the government stinks at doing everything it tries to do.
Really?
So I'd much
your mail doesn't come on time?
Sector. No, it doesn't.
Okay, and do you think the Army sucks?
And it's also, and by the way, millions of dollars in debt, the U.S. Postal Service. Nice, good choice of examples. They're going broke, too.
They're not going broke. They're doing just fine, thank you very much.
No, they're not. They're $300 million in debt this year.
$300 million is nothing in the Postal Service budget of billions.
Yeah, because in the private sector, when people have $300
From year to
million
year, there'll be a surplus one year, there'll be a deficit the next year. It's relatively meaningless.
Seton, first-class mail is dying, and you know it.
First-class mail is diminishing, yeah, and so is third-class mail, and the post office is picking up, some of that slack. They're changing. They're changing. They're absolutely changing.
No, it's the government. They're not changing. They're keeping things exactly the same. They can't even stop delivering on Saturday for 2 years because of the union contract.
If government does things poorly and the private sector does things so wonderfully, why is it that the average for-profit health insurance company in this country has somewhere between a 20 and 30% skim off the top overhead? In fact, Obama just passed a law saying that they have to spend 85 cents of every dollar that they bring in, and they're protesting that.
That's a totally fraudulent number, Tom. The average profit for a major health insurance provider is between 1.5% and 2%.
I'm not talking profits. I'm talking total expenses. You've got at United Healthcare,
1.5–2% profit.
Seton, at United Healthcare, you've got a CEO who, for his first 5 years of work, made $477 million, and you've got over 100 people who make more than $1 million each. Plus, you've got money you got to pay to stockholders. Plus, you got money that you got to pay on advertising on TV to whitewash the horrible reputation of this predatory corporation. And you've got all those expenses. Medicare has none of those expenses.
Yeah, well, but the difference being that the private provider does a much better job of providing medicine.
Then why is it that all these people show up at the tea parties with signs that say "Keep your government hands off my Medicare"?
Because the private sector does better than Medicare. Medicare stinks on ice. It's terrible.
Well, then why do people who have it want to keep it?
They don't want to keep it. Well, there's a certain sector that like getting free stuff. That's not a shocker. That's how Democrats have been buying votes.
It's not free stuff. People have paid into it their entire lives.
Well, it's free stuff.
Anybody who's been working since 1965 has been paying into Medicare, which I'd say is pretty much everybody.
A small percentage of what a lot of them talk. A small percent for people who are riding it their entire lives. They're taking out far more than they put in.
Yeah, your phone is breaking up, Seton. But to the point of, should we have top-down systems where people at the top simply make the decisions and decide, okay, you're fat, you're going to pay an extra $50, or should we have a we society where collectively we say, we have an obesity problem in this country, and we're not going to solve it simply by charging fat people $50. We're going to solve it by doing something about a whole bunch of different things, like corn syrup on our food supply, or educating people, or whatever.
You're advocating to end top down. You're advocating more top down.
I'm advocating
the federal government mandate getting rid of corn syrup. That's absurd, Tom.
No, I'm talking about education.
I don't want a government that's running my lives.
I'm talking about education, so it's bottom up.
I know how to eat. And then, no, education is not bottom up. It's top down from the Department of Education in Washington. It's not top down. And it's run like crap because the Department of Education has strip-mined the school system in the last 40 years.
Well, in the last 30 years, ever since Bill Benton was put in charge of it by Ronald Reagan. Bill Benton, who ran on the campaign promise of doing away with the Education Department.
As a bribe, and Carter Steiner started as a bribe to the NEA in 1979. I know the history of the Department of Education.
This was no bribe. This was because you've got kids all over the United States who had special needs who weren't getting them. They weren't getting. The school districts were going broke.
Gone to the floor. Ever since the Department of Education was started, education is the scoring.
I was running a private school in 1979, Seton. I'm telling you, it's because school districts were going broke because they couldn't handle special needs kids.
And they're still going broke, and they're spending 3 times as much as they did in '79, and the results have flatlined. They haven't done anything.
Yeah, well, not in real dollars. They're not spending 3 times. But in any case, lessgovernment.org. Seton Motley. Thanks, Seton.